Live now.
We are live. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome.
I am Sin Rose, and
I am Red. Hello, welcome.
we have two wonderful guests here with us today, joining us for Bedtime Stories. You may or may not know them, but we definitely love them. I'd like to introduce two brothers that are here joining us today. Our brother Lewis Key.
How are you? Hello, hello.
Who is an icon, to say the least, in the dance community.
That's a big word, icon.
But it's true. But it's really
the right word.
applies.
Right word. He's a
You don't
dancer.
have to say it about yourself, but I could say that about you.
That's right. Dancer, promoter, and lots of other things. So
An all-around wonderful guy.
Yes.
And also we have the world-renowned and incredible artist on
the street.
Art. Huh?
The street. What?
Hello, hello.
And what's his name, Sid? What's his name?
UncuttArt. You may have seen some of his work around your city. Trust me, you probably have.
You probably have.
You probably have. So
Hello, ladies.
Super excited to have them joining us here today. If you have questions for either of our guests, please be sure to add them in the chat. You know, and I think we can get started.
Let's get started.
Let's get started.
Oh, wait, I can keep talking. We don't want that.
All right, so why don't we start with just the question that we typically ask everyone is like, why do you think that, like, tell us a little bit about yourself for those people that don't know you, and why do you think that we wanted to hear a bedtime story from you? So why don't we start with
Of course, I'm UncuttArt, street artist extraordinaire. Also a light worker, so I do a lot of energy work with a lot of great people. As far as the storytelling part, basically, I think personally, you know that I've been places in my career, in my life, and I've been through phases like some kind of Forrest Gump kind of scenario. Like my life has really been that kind of thing. So I have a lot of stories pertaining to a lot of things, especially working it up to this point where we're at right now in our current moment.
Sweet. And Luce, why do you
question again?
Yeah.
Okay. What was the question again?
Why are you here?
Don't call me. Well, no, what it is that I love you both. I love you both. I've known you for years. You know, and I realize I respect you ladies a lot, and I'm glad you both teamed up to do this. Any knowledge is good knowledge. Any information is good information. And at this time, we definitely need that. You know.
Why do you think we asked you here?
Maybe because I could maybe fill you in with some history or some knowledge that most people don't know about me or about the scene itself, or about the club world, because I'm a dancer and I'm you know, I just have the promoter and I've been on tour and I did things like that. And basically I just have all these experiences with beautiful people that gave me life. And at 63 years old, I think I appreciate that a lot.
Best answer. Best answer.
Oh, his answer.
I like it. So I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to start with just the obvious so that people are not like, what's happening? So, Unc, why are you dressed this way? Why are you covered up?
Oh, man. There's a lot of reasons. For one thing, I'm a very sacred individual. And that's one. Number two, I'm a street artist, so that put me in a vandal bracket, so a little bit don't want my face all on cameras. Number three, when I started doing this street art, and when I started kind of like decided to go into this line of work as far as light working and pushing the just pushing the whole concept of loving yourself more, I gave up being a person of some sort, you know, like my ego self, my made up self. I kind of like gave that up. So in terms of that and me pushing this art that I was doing, I didn't want to confuse people with my physical aspects. So I wanted to not be a present force in the midst of giving a message, and where people, like for example, when you are a quote unquote celebrity or somebody people look up to you, they kind of give you all of their energy, and they kind of literally look up to you. And in a way, my whole movement is about giving people back their power and looking up to themselves. So me not being in a present form allow them to look in the mirror instead of looking at me and looking up to me and look up to yourself. So there was a lot of little conceptual ideas that came in this whole aspect of me not wanting to be a known figure, or more of an energy figure. Not even a figure, really. An energy reflection.
Entity.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I know that whole trouble of being, you know, celebrity and everything.
I'm sure you do. It's not easy. See, you should know. I know it's not easy.
I'm just
you know?
teasing.
No, it's not easy.
But you can see, like, so our friend Frankie in the chat says he loves seeing you everywhere. Can you tell us a little bit about, like, where everywhere has been? Because if you have been walking down the streets of any city, you may see that brand Protect Your Heart, which is on his bandana, also seen on sidewalks, on buildings, and various things. So can you tell us a little bit about, like, the Protect Your Heart brand and how it developed and, like, where you're going with it?
Well, right back to me being on this journey of self-love, I wanted to give people an idea how dope this journey was. And you can't just tell people that, oh my God, I just could close my eyes and get into myself and love myself. You know, people start taking you weird and shit. So I had to come up with something that was a little bit more soothing and more acceptable by the people, where I can create.
So you're not weird as shit? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I'm still weird as shit, but it's more like,
because I'm weird as shit. I don't know.
But it's artsy. So
it's more like trying to be effective. It's more like wanting to be effective, because I felt like I didn't. First of all, to be honest with everybody, yo, like, I went through a process where I really gave into this whole idea that I was all energy, and I would listen to my inner being and my inner self from that day forth. And everything that I did from that day forth came from this feeling of something had to be done. And then I had the answers to do them. So I did them. So I felt like I was just a vessel being used by the universe to get something out there that needed to be out there. So I knew that. And every danger that came with it, like every street that y'all see this shit on, I done walked those streets. And I'm talking about LA, Miami, DC, Philly, Atlanta, Connecticut, Boston, Vegas, Carolina. I mean, like, you name it, I've walked those streets. And I've walked them with a million souls with me, putting something out there that would connect with people in a way that would help them connect with themselves, which is what we at the moment should be doing a lot of. So it was all setting us up for this moment right here. And that's Protect Your Heart.
okay.
Awesome.
Louis Key.
Yes.
You tell us, why are you loose?
Oh,
For those of you who don't know, it's Loose. He's known within the dance community as Loose.
Well, somebody gave me that name years ago, and I'm not as flexible as I should be. But I think the name.
That's not the word on the street.
I ain't that easy.
I saw it.
I ain't that easy. Well, basically what it was is that the word, the name Loose was given me, and then I took it as, first a friend of mine gave it and said Loose Louis. And it was a friend of mine named James Merritt, Junebug, and he was a legend, and he still is a legend in the loft world, which he doesn't come out that much, but he's still alive and he's still kicking, but he doesn't go out as much dancing. His name is James Merritt, Junebug. and this was the Prince and Mercer years of the loft. And he basically gave me that, and he yelled out, "Loose Louie, Loose Louie," and I was like, "Whoa, well, that sounds like a cartoon character." So I cut it short and made it loose. And then I thought, well, why would I describe that word loose? Is because I'm usually dancing with everyone. No one I can't dance with, no one I can't interact with. So I'm like a dog let loose. There's no restrictions. There's no, there's nothing that stopped me from saying, "Hi, how are you?" Which that's why I kept that name, and I took that in that way. And ever since then, I've just been, "Hi, how are you? Let me dance with you," and felt completely in control of my environment, because I didn't want to have, as Uncut would say, I mean, I didn't want to actually be cooked to the fame. I just wanted to be. I mean, I felt I was talented, but I didn't want to feel that fame overran talent. So I made sure that I did protect my heart. And I made sure that I was in control of my heart when I went out. So I could feel, and give my heart to somebody else, knowing that they can't take my heart from me.
Nice.
Yeah,
Luz,
I love it.
earlier you before we hit record, before we were live, you mentioned something about being somewhere and someone dancing at you rather than with you.
Yes.
Could you just tell us about that?
Well, it's interesting. I've noticed this generation for a while, which has learned that the dance form that we have started before house, they basically house was more of a gathering of people dancing with each other, connecting, a release, exchange, as the French call it, of dancing with people. And what I've learned is that, now everybody's dancing at you. Somebody dances at you. If it's hip hop, they're dancing at you. If it's company, dance at you. It's kind of like you're putting in your personal space, but they're not appreciating who you are. They're actually trying to show who they are. So in that manner, I realized that I was never, I had a young gentleman came to me once, and we were talking about that early in Houston, Texas, at an event called Blueprint. And before he went to Blueprint, he looked at me and he saw me dancing at a club, and he was dancing at me. And I realized, it was like, okay, he could be any guy at Funk Box who just thought, yo, I'm gonna run up on this boy because he's feeling the cypher. Let me get some of that cypher juice out of him so we can get that cypher going on. And I was like, I'm not into that. I'm an OG. And I turned my back on him, not to disrespect him, but to say, that's the limit that I do. You're dancing at me. And I told him later on, as he sat down and he was off the dance floor, and I met him off the dance floor, I said, I apologize for turning my back on you, but you were dancing at me. You wasn't dancing with me. So Red, yourself, Cynthia, you want to dance with somebody. That means you want to dance with them, not at them.
Right.
So, but it's funny because, you said something that struck me. And I think about Red and I, we put together certain people when we put together these things. And we typically like to put together people that are a bit different. But I realized in this moment that there's so much that's similar between you two because of the way that you are energetically in a social environment and in a public space, and so what I really would love to know is what has made you become that person that is okay, I want to embrace these people for who they are and how they are, but at the same time express myself in this way.
You're asking me?
Sure.
Okay. What made that happen was I was one of those people. I was one of those insecure people who wanted to find myself and was trying to figure out who I was, but I didn't know how to do it and I didn't want to crash my way through the building, but I want to acknowledge myself as a human being. So what I realized that in dancing, I was able to bring my personality out. It didn't ask about my bank account. It didn't look about how good looking I was, how tall I was, how short I was, how heavy I was, who I knew, who I didn't know. My dancing was a way of nonverbal communication that made me feel comfortable. And what I did was, after I knew my power in that, I was able to pass my power to other people. To go to a person who has that soul or has that rhythm in them, no matter where they're from, and pull that out of them. And to me, I was giving to the culture because that's what the culture gave to me. They accepted me for who I was, so I have to pass that on.
That's great.
That
What
is
about
great.
you,
That's great.
That's great.
That's a thumbs up, my brother.
So Unc, did you hear that question? Can you answer that same question?
No, I gotta ask that question again.
So the question was basically that, like, there's so many similarities in the way that both of you, you know, are
Great.
free entities in your energy and the way that you spread your energy in public or in social environments. And like, so what caused you to get to that place where you felt like you could be open in that way to be able to share with people, or like, you know?
You actually asked the same question twice. That's kind of, that's a good talent. And I know it was not written, and you actually you asked the same question the same way. I was just listening, and I heard it the first time, but yeah. and I had an answer for you too. I see with me is, the way I look at it is, my career is my life. You know, like, I turned my career, like, is my life already. I just turned it into a career. You know, I share it with people in a way where my journey is their journey, you know, and I share it through art. So I feel like I was already that person. I just had to really, really, like, learn to be that person, you know? And in a way, the reason why I say this is more my life than just a career is that, like, we all have that same journey. Like, literally, we all are on that same journey for self-love and self-appreciation and really understanding who you are as an individual, you know? So like, this was something that I came here to do. Like, this wasn't like, you know, I came here to do this, to spread this light, spread this information, you know, and I had to get to a point where I had to learn myself enough to be able to express this to people. So this whole life of mine was all a journey to get to this point. And I just used the art as a way to kind of like balance out this physical life of mine and this serving, because I feel like I'm an agent of the universe, you know, like, I do what the universe say. So in a way, I had the art as a balance, a way for me to have some type of a physical life while still doing the work of the universe.
I see that after each one of your answers, there's a moment of silence because y'all are just like, pow. So, Unc, earlier when we were chatting, you said that you actually had a story that you were going to share.
OMG, I have like a lot of stories, but I have
Well,
a story that I made up.
let's go with story number 3, whatever that might be.
So I made up the story about the baby in the car.
Oh my.
Okay.
It's called The Baby in the Car. Let's just say that. And I had told this story one time because I do meditation on my live a lot. And after the meditation, I might do a nice little lecture, a nice little talk, question and answer. And one day I came up with a way of explaining something, and I used the baby in the car. And then I made up a story about the baby in the car. And I was like, that's a good story. So we're going to tell the story about the baby in the car. So let's start out by saying that, let's think about the baby in the car as being the same thing. And let's think about the driver in this car is the soul of the baby. So the story goes like this. So again, the driver of the car is the soul of the baby, and the car itself is the body of the baby. So one day, this beautiful vessel, mother of the universe, of all beautiful, this one beautiful goddess, who's responsible for bringing life into this beautiful realm. We call them women, we call them ladies. We have a whole bunch of names for them. We disrespect them, we treat them good, we treat them bad. But this vessel, this cave, this individual that's responsible for bringing non-physical entities into physical, she gave birth to this car, who is the baby. So the car now came with this driver, who's a soul. Now the driver already had all the information, knew where he had to go, knew what he had to do, but his only job as a driver was to connect to the car, to actually connect to the car. So the car comes out, and the first thing the car comes out, we have the mommy and the daddy. The mommy and the daddy, what they do is they plug their programming into the car and say, hey, car, you are red, and their car over there is green, and that car is a truck, and they're all different. And you're different, and you're different than them. And you as a car never got a chance to connect to the driver inside of the car, which is the soul. So of course the car grows up thinking that it's a car, goes wherever mommy says to go, wherever daddy says to go. And of course, when mommy has authority over the car, so does everybody else, teachers, policemen, government. So the car only listens to authority. It doesn't listen to the driver. Who's the driver? The driver becomes a little voice inside of the car. So the driver never gets to actually connect fully with the car. Meanwhile, the car is being ran all around the world by everything else that is plugged into the car. So now imagine the car has a computer system series per se. Let's say the series is a computer system, and the driver normally is supposed to get in the car, and the car say, hey, John, where you want to go? And series go where the car goes where John say, hey, I want to go to 55th Street, and series takes John where it goes. But in this state right here, in this story, this series doesn't do what John wanted, what the driver wanted him to do, because Siri is connected to this outside world that is telling Siri every day what to do. So then this car grows up not knowing that it actually is not a car. It's actually the driver is what's running this car. It actually think it's being ran by itself, and it never really got a chance to know itself. And we currently here. This baby, this car, this grown person is sitting there right now watching this, thinking to himself, this little voice inside of me is that driver that I never got to connect with. And that driver is really who I am. I'm not really this person that they told me I was since I was born. I'm actually a soul, an energy, a light being that's connected to everything else in life. So I'm not really just a person. I'm actually bigger than just a person. The end.
It was really deep.
Go on.
Gotcha.
I was not expecting that, and I love it though, because it was really deep, and it really does speak to a lot to you as an artist and your way of thinking of really embodying and making sure that people understand that everything is actually relative, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I love that it brought that to me, in that way. I don't know.
I agree with you, and I got the story, and I'm glad I got the story, because I was like, is this going to take a weird turn? But no, that was good, and it was a nice, calm ending, and I was like, oh, I got all of that. That was good. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I just made it up as we went along. I just knew what the concept was. I
love it. Yeah. I love it.
Well, Luce, I have a question for you.
Sure, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. Someone who's listening, someone you may have heard of. Apparently, his name is DJ Disciple.
I think I heard of him before.
And he says that he claims that you are a photographer, and he wants to know what books or works have your photos appeared in.
Wow. It was in Tim Lawrence's book, the second book, not Love Saves the Day, but the life and death of the New York City nightlife club scene. And I was in that book, you know, with pictures of that, of the loft. Matter of fact, the picture which is behind me, that picture is from Prince and Mercer. I didn't really put a lot of stuff out. You know, people ask me and I give it to them to do it for magazines and things like that. And I don't really keep track as much of it because I realized it was a moment and I'm a vessel just to pass on information because, you know, finding monetary value is great, but that's my hobby. That was my enjoyment of the moment at the time. Even when David came to my place and we talked about his book that just came out, which is fantastic. David, props to you. Love it, love it, love it. You know, must read it, boys and girls. You know, David's book is about that club scene, and we're talking about that. You know, that late '80s, you know, to '90s, that whole experience out there, which Disciple doesn't get enough credit for being one of those unsung heroes. But you know, he's done the work. He's done everything else, and I'm so glad he does that. So I love you, David. That's Disciple.
I just want to say one thing about that whole statement for those who don't know, excuse me, because you were speaking about the loft,
Right.
but then you referred to David, and there's going to be someone that doesn't recognize or know that.
Ah.
Not talking about David Mancuso.
Right.
DJ Disciple's name is David, people, and
Sure.
DJ Disciple has a new
So glad you did that.
out or coming, because I know somebody's like, wait a minute, what?
Like what? Mancuso?
Yes. Well, basically, David. Okay. David Banks, which is DJ Disciple, was a gentleman who came by who I knew for years, and he was during the time when I call it the New Jacks were coming out. He was a DJ who actually played on the radio, and he was one of those pioneers of the new music, a new generation that was coming out that listened to the old music and understanding the new music. And you know, the problem is the picture behind me, which is the loft, was the DJ at the loft was called David 2, which was David Mancuso, which is probably the most influential person of the club scene, dance club world scene, because he's the first person to bring the music to the ear of the dancer. So the dancer would actually listen to it deeper than most times that they listen to music. But I'm sorry to get both Davids mixed up. You know,
But continue on about the music.
Oh, about the music. I don't know.
Well, no, I like what you were getting ready to say. I was like, wait a minute, go on. Tell me about how he made the people listen.
Okay, listen. David Mancuso was a hippie, Timothy Leary disciple who was an orphan. And basically, he decided that he was going to give a rent party. So homeboy said, listen, Italian boy, he was an orphan. The only time that he actually, you know, as a kid being an orphan, the only time that was very important for kids who were orphans was their birthday. And balloons were the object that remind you of, this is your special day, a balloon. Some people get off on Christmas because of the tree. Well, his was, you know, birthday is the balloon. So every kid would have balloons or a balloon for his birthday that was at the orphanage. So what happened is that David got older. He decided he was at a point in time where he wanted to actually he wanted to have he brought some friends over to his house. And he said, look, we're going to have a rent party. We have a party. And this party is, I'm going to experiment with drugs, especially LSD. So I'm going to cut up some LSD. I'm going to put it in a half, a quarter, a whole. And each of my friends who I think will take one of those things and we'll see the experience. So as he did that, David would play the music and they would strip off the music in the psychedelic way that they would do. But David didn't just play psychedelic, you know, sitar music. He played other stuff. He played rock, he played reggae, he played R&B, he played all this different kind of music, and they got into it. He became so popular, and this was on Broadway. I think it was 647 Broadway. I'm not sure the address again, but it was back in the 1970. Now, as that went on, he made he had so many people coming by his house that he was able to pay his rent. So it was like a rent party. So it started to be very popular, and he realized it was getting too big. I gotta change this shit. So what he did was he decided to go ahead and do something a little different. What he decided to do was he moved to a place called Prince and Mercer. While he was there, he figured out that he had this knowledge of all different kind of music. He found out he did the first record pool. So he was the first person to get records from a distributor, all kinds of records. And he told people that, listen, for $25 a month, I can give you 50 records. Some are good, some are bad. A-sides, B-sides. People said, hey, for the music that you're giving us that we would never see, it's like a gamble. It's like a little bit of gamble. So what they did was they would get in this record pool, first record pool ever given. And this was during a time when disco was before disco and even after disco. So all these DJs wanted to get this new music because DJs were the new thing now, and they would go to David to get these records, and they would do that. So what happened is David understood that the situation that he felt when he was a kid, he wanted to show that experience by putting balloons up and make it a home for people who were orphans. And a lot of us that were coming to the loft, some people couldn't speak, they were coming straight off the boat from Puerto Rico, they couldn't speak any English, they'd bring their kids with them, not their kids with them, but they wanted to have some kind of outlet that they can meet other people. It was a safe haven. So this is how Loft Kid Lewis's parents, Lewis's mom started. She came to the loft, Josie came to the loft, and she would bring Lewis in the morning. Because you talk about a club that starts at 12 midnight and goes to like 3 in the afternoon. So instead of going at night to party, you actually wake up in the morning and you can party in the morning. So that whole thing of being able to have this time that you could actually bring your kids in some place, and because all these balloons are around, the kids felt like this is like Christmas. Balloons all over the air. I mean, all in the air, and everybody's having this beautiful moment. Everybody's happy. All these adults are happy, and children don't see adults happy because the loft was like a playground to adults. So when you're a kid, it's the same thing what kids supposed to do. No kid would ever tell, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do the other. Because it was such a safe haven, and it was such a safe haven for adults, it was a playground and a free ground. And most of the people that were there watched the children like they were their uncles and aunts. So now you have these children involved, riding on big wheels and hobby horses and hearing music, and people are happy, and their mothers and fathers are happy, and everybody's happy. It's a beautiful thing. It's very hard to, you see that at certain outdoor events like in Coney Island, maybe at, certain events when you see children there dancing, but it's that same environment. And this is the reason why the house community has been so enriched in people's psychic to keep going. And every generation changes, but they still go, they figure out, we come to dance, we come to release, we come to appreciate, we come to enjoy, and it's a safe haven for children to be around because children are sacred. And we're all kids in our souls at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Slow clap to that.
Whoa, that's a good one.
Well, I have a question for you on, I know for a fact that you have in your career have been able to, work with some really pretty notable people, especially as of late. If there was a dream person that you could work with or, align with in order to complete a project, who would it be and why?
Wow, to complete a project, who would it be and why?
I wanted to just make jungle noises, just now. Like, while we were waiting.
It's not a celebrity for sure. It's definitely not. It's I really don't know. It would be somebody like myself that's out here spreading this light and trying to help people get to their higher self. And there's a lot of us, you know, so it wouldn't be one person.
That's awesome.
That would be that.
I love the fact that you took it to that it wouldn't be a celebrity person, right? Because I know that you've worked with a lot of celebrities, and you know.
Yeah, I've done that. That's my life. That's my past life. I've done that. I recently was in a movie. She's Gotta Have It. You know, the whole season 2. I was a character. Actually, I think I was supposed to be in season 3, if you know, if all this situation didn't go down. But that was a nice experience. I mean, I grew up in the celebrity industry, music, film. I went to school for film. I was a DJ at some point. I engineered at some point. I was a casting director for 8 years. So I've dabbled so much in this industry in so many different places, and like from behind the camera, in front of the camera. So it's like, I think it's over for that with me. Like I said, I'm on a different journey. So my interest is more that light, and whoever wanna help spread that light, that's where we at right now. So, and it's been a beautiful journey, because right now all the beautiful light workers are coming together. So I'm meeting a lot of new people in my life right now, which is beautiful as well.
Yeah, I mean, especially at a time like now, it's kind of very important for us to be really focused on that and spending a lot of time with that. I'm sorry.
Yep.
That was like the animal sounds, the jungle sounds.
We didn't do that.
That was a little jungle sound.
No. But yeah, no, that is like, you know, that the journey that we have internally is definitely one of the most, it is the most important journey that you can travel, you know, and so there's that. But so to you, Luz, also, like, I would love to know a similar answer, or, you know, a similar answer to a similar question to you. If there's like a dream person that you could work with, or, you know, complete a project with,
Take
who would that be?
photo of, have a dance with.
Yeah.
Well, I've danced with a lot of people, and it's just because our connection I try to make it organic when I am dancing with somebody, at least 100% organic. You know,
But in your dream,
I think now it's just about maybe educating them to keep them in that light, you know, of lightness, and not being of darkness and heaviness, as the brother was saying earlier, to a point, and trying to, you know, my journey is doing the work that I've already had. Like, I've had my journey, and now it's about me to pass that journey on to other people, or let them see that journey. Because a lot of times I know it's their personal journey, but I've lived that a lot. And then it makes a difference with male or female. I've lived that a lot, and I've seen that. I've seen the mistakes. I can tell them I wouldn't go there, but in their mind, they may have to take that journey to figure out, wow, I shouldn't have went there. But, you know, back to your question, with anybody I like to work with, I feel anybody is willing to work with me. Because, you know, I'm an open book. I don't want to, you know, what I feel is I will work with anybody who's speaking the truth. I will work with anybody who's not in for political, for gain, for self. I will work with anybody who realizes that if you're going to take, you better put back in just as much, just to make sure that you have the right to take.
I love that.
Another moment of silence.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking you guys quiet all the time. I'm like,
No, it's not. It's that with you giving it, you're both giving us answers that are
That's what happens when jewels get
they're to
dropped.
be considered.
well, I did have a quick. I had 2 stories to give you, but the first story,
Give it.
Well, the first story was really what he was kind of saying. My brother was saying earlier, and I was thinking about it, and I thought, I have a friend of mine who gave me a story called the Fish and the Fisherman. And the fish and the fisherman, my friend always tells me, he says, you know what, and it's about the climate right now. And basically what it is that there was a fisherman who used to go out, and every morning he would go ahead and get in his boat, and he would go out there into the water, and he would go out there and row his boat, and he would, not fish, but he would just sit out there and chill and cool out and just think like, I'm out in the water every morning. And all of a sudden this fish would come up and look at him and say, hey, what's up? And the guy fisherman would say, hey, how are you? And they would have this conversation, these long conversations, these long stories and life and everything else. And the fisherman would go, and then at the end of the day, the fisherman would get in his boat and go back home. And the next day he did the same thing over again. And it happened for a number of years. Until one day the fisherman was in the boat. And he was sitting in the boat, and all of a sudden, the boat started to go ahead and have a spring leak. And the water's coming in the boat, and the fisherman is getting nervous, and he's talking to the fish, and the fish, and he's going like, oh my God, the boat is going to sink. And the fish is looking at the fisherman's like, why are you fucking so worried? He said, all you have to do is swim. And the fisherman said, I can't swim. And the fisherman's like, it's easy to swim. Everybody swims. And he's like, you don't understand. I can't swim. Until the boat sinks and the man dies. And the fish couldn't understand. I don't understand why you can't do that. And in this climate, it's kind of interesting because when certain people of non-color understand why is it that Black men and Black people are treated the way they are, they have no clue why we feel that. And this is the white people we meet in our lives that have no clue on understanding what it is to be a person of color. That was the first story.
You guys are gonna make me take a nap after this.
Right.
My head is just like, great.
That's great. I used to have some friends that would come to visit me from Switzerland every year. And, it's a couple of dancers. One was Caucasian and one was a brother. And they were a couple. They would come to visit. And, I live in Harlem.
Mm-hmm.
But even when I lived in Brooklyn, they used to come to stay in my house and everything. But so, we had gotten on the conversation about racism, and how inherent it is. And one of the things that I would say, which is very similar to what you were saying, is that I would tell them, okay, I want you to think about a doctor and a drug dealer.
Exactly.
Now, which one of them is white? And they'd be like, and which one of them is Black? And which one of them, and why do you think that automatically? What's your thought process? When you look at things in that way, and when you look at things in a different way, it does really make you evaluate and reevaluate the systems that have even been indoctrinated in your own mind.
That's why when you Art was talking about that, I was very fascinated. I was like, oh, that reminds me of that situation, which means that the child, even though you said the vessel was the car, he's not in control because the media brings him this information and he's not able to evaluate for himself what is real and what is not real because society has already built that in there. And being of your age, my young brother, I realized, and probably younger than I am, I can't tell, but I've taken for granted by your conversation that, of trying to find truth and light and everything else, that when I do see the world, I look at that as kind of broken because we've been conditioned, not just Black people, but white people have been conditioned to believe the hype. And we now lose our soul, or we now come in conflict because we don't know the truth. And the truth has been taken away from us so long that, it's hard for people to understand what the real truth is. Especially when somebody tells you, oh, it's all fake.
Yeah.
You know what I thought about today? Ooh.
What you thought?
Because you said that, because all I do all day is trying to figure out how can I explain this to everybody, like what can I explain? And based on this real and fake thing that you just mentioned, if people really want to know what's real, follow what you know is real. And the realest thing that you people do not pay attention to is nature. Nature is real.
Oh, seriously?
Nature is so real. Everything about nature is real. The animal, the trees, the water, that shit is real. And if you really want to know what's going on in this world, Pay attention to what nature's doing. Nature will tell you everything, not the news, not the next person, not nothing else. Because once you connect with nature, I swear you'll see and you'll understand exactly where you stand in this whole situation. Like at this time right now, when people want to know what's really happening, like literally, like when I thought about it, I'm like, the only thing that's gonna move accurately with the ether, with the energy, with the universe is nature. Like even when man is not listening to nature, nature will listen to nature. So watch the trees, watch the growth, watch how the new growth is happening. Watch what's dying. Watch where it's dying. Watch what's growing. Watch where it's growing. Pay attention, and you will know the truth. Because now, when anybody tell you anything, you be like, "Nah, nature's good. What are y'all talking about?" So, like y'all over here trying to get us to not look at the goods, while the goods is happening right under our nose. But currently, if people don't know, just to give you guys a reality check real quick. In the midst of all this shit that we're doing, all this fake lockdown, pandemic shit that people are doing, I'm gonna tell you guys right now, straight up and down, the thing you guys need to think about or worry about is not the government or these vaccines or all this other shit that people think they need to worry about. It's nature. Okay, nature is doing the bids right now. Okay, it is at its prime right now, where the frequency of the earth is rising at such an enormous speed that it's taking everything out that is not of its kind. So whether you guys want to hear this or not, the sickness that you guys are experiencing is because the nature is trying to upgrade everybody, and some people's bodies not willing or ready to take that upgrade. And guess what's going to happen? You're just going to have to start all over. This whole life is so beautiful if we look at it the way we are supposed to, not the way they're trying to make us look at it. But
that's being woke and conscious. And see, a lot of times we've been programmed by people of power to program us to go ahead and numb us by looking at fame and looking at fortune and looking at screens instead of looking at nature, getting outside and appreciating all of what's alive and what's living. But it's hard for somebody to know that when they feel that it has to be a complex thing of life and not the simplicity of life.
It's very simple.
It's also about, like, you know, just being present, right? Yeah. So a lot of people talk about how they want to go back to being normal, being this, being that. And I say all the time that there's really no such thing as normal. It used to be normal to go to the supermarket and it's only homogenized vitamin D milk. You go to the supermarket now, you got oat milk, almond milk, rice milk, 2%, lactate, and that's normal, right?
Yes.
So, but there's no such thing as normal. What you can do is be present. That's the only thing you could ever do. You want to promise tomorrow, you're not promising another minute. You could be present right now. That's it.
Here's a story. I got a story for you about being present. This is a beautiful story. All right, so we have 3 timelines, right? We have the past, which we've experienced, some of us. We have the future, which nobody knows what the fuck, but you do know, but it's not even here yet, so it doesn't really matter. And then we have the ever most beautiful present, which is me right here, present. Okay, so now based on how they got people's minds caught up in this situation, first of all, we have to understand, let's start eliminating shit, okay? Because it's hard to pay attention to the present while everybody's head is in the past trying to prevent the future. First of all, understand this, right? The future, this future right here is actually your now. The future is now. The future is now. So my point is the future is not here. Your now becomes your future, so let's take that out the way. Fuck the future. Now we down to the now and the past. So now what you gonna do? You wanna look at the past and try to prevent the now? You can't, because the now is here in your face. And people are scared to look at the now because they're so trying to prevent the future. So since the future is not here, what you gonna do with this past that you're stuck in the past now? We're stuck in the past now. Currently, what people are doing is they're going to the past, studying what they did, what people did in the past, and trying to prevent the future that's not even here. And in reality, all they're doing is recreating the past, because they're skipping the present, which is where you get the gift, the beauty, the dopeness to create the next step, because your next step is actually your now. Your now is actually your future. So like if you focus on your now, your future always will be beautiful. But we stuck in the cycle of past, point 2.0, past 2.0. And we missing that. We never see the future. We are stuck in a circle. We're stuck in a circle, but we're not evolving. Evolving is being in your now so you can spiral. You could go up. When you're in your now, you create from your now. Everything you create in your now is going to benefit your tomorrow because you're taking it from the situation that's going now. You're going to create solutions for tomorrow. You can't look at situations going on now and then try to go in the past and find a solution from the past and then try to bring, like, we're doing too much. So let's get rid of the past, because that's why they feed us history. They feed us history because they understand that we are the creative beings of this whole universe. They understand that with your thoughts, you create your reality. They understand that with your words, you create your reality. So what they do is they feed you this past and they make it the his story. They keep giving you this shit and they make you so prone to it to now you feel like you have to keep going in the past and pay homage to our ancestors and learn this and learn that. And all you keep doing is recreating the past. So we never get to evolve. So what I say is, fuck the past and fuck the future. And let's just embrace the now. Let's embrace us. Let's embrace now. I understand people want to pay homage. People want to know what happened in the past. People want to do all that. But I tell you this right now, none of this shit can do nothing for you right now. All you're doing is splitting up your energy in two, and that drains you. That damn near kill you. You know, you can't be time traveling like that. Stay in your now. You benefit more from your now. So yeah, in a way, we gotta have to abolish history. You know, that whole memory thing, people want to, I just want to remember yesterday. How are you going to create tomorrow if you're stuck in yesterday? The memory was so cool. We make new ones. You know, like I dig, you want to pay homage to your ancestors, but guess what? You can be the ancestor. So you think all the dope people that created things in the past, they were stuck thinking about the past? No, they was dealing with the time of the now. And because of the time of the now, they were forced to create something to get them past the time of the now. And now we're giving them so much credit because they did that. And now we stuck in a situation and we can't even see that we have to be in our now to create the things we need in our now to become the ancestors for the tomorrow.
Clapping again. I'm slow clapping again. I'm just going to sign off myself. Y'all just carry on because I have to go do some work.
Oh, excuse me.
I have a question.
Like, I gotta get in my
adjustments to make.
No, I have a question for Luz from the chat here. The question for Luz is, what's the #1 jam that gets you loose? Loose.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, I gotta answer.
Take a second to think about that. And just for those who are out there listening, as normal, Instagram cuts us off after an hour. If we get cut off, we are not coming back, and you will catch the bonus of this conversation on our YouTube channel. Carry on, Luce. Go on. What's the jam?
Okay, so what was the jam that really makes me go completely bonkers? I would say I have a couple of them, but I will say one is Weekend by Freak. I think the other one would be probably City Country City. I feel E2E4. And I would say things that make me get emotional, it would be Sunny, the song Sunny by Jose Feliciano.
Sunny.
I got one.
I love when Jose Feliciano.
I got one.
Go ahead, and then I have a question for you.
I used to dance a little bit, you know, to a lot of it. And the one song that used to always get me used to be Pete Rock. You know which one? Pete Rock's the what's the name of that joint? Dun, 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 dun.
I love it. People try to sing the song and I'm like, what's that song?
I'm gonna call it hot music, but I don't know if that's right. But we know what song you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. In your being a street artist, as you, at least that's where you started, what's the most dangerous situation you've been in doing your art?
Because he's in the present. He's alive right now.
Shit.
Man, it's so many, yo. I can't even. Good.
Well, let's hear number 3.
I'm gonna trickle it down to 3. Top one. I was one time, I first of all, when I walk, so I don't never know where I'm at. I be in areas that sometimes I don't need to be. So I was one day, but like I said, I walk with angels, dogs. So I never worry because I know that it's just me and a whole bunch of them, and we working together. So wherever I'm at, I know what I'm doing is of utmost dopeness, and the frequency is so high that anything under my frequency is not gonna see me. So I'm always in that mindset. So I would say like one of the main one, number one, police run-ins is always no good. I got arrested a couple of times. But the most dangerous I would say is, I think one time I was I was doing something and like on the floor, and I dug down, but I guess I was in a neighborhood on a block where, there was people watching, but they didn't know what I was doing. So I bent down to kind of like spray something, and the noise made like real loud noise or whatever. So I guess they thought I was really like flattening somebody's tires, and like 3 people ran up on me and one had a gun. Like it was kind of crazy. But then when they came up and they came past the car, and then they saw what I was doing, they was like, "Oh, we thought you was fucking with the car." I'm like, "Bro, nah, I'm just out here working, bro. I'm doing me. I go do y'all." So it was always that, but usually I'm good out there, yo. Like, and it's always kind of crazy. Police is, like I said, it's always my number one headaches dealing with this shit. And then lately it's been a lot of Karens I've been snitched on. Like within the last 2 weeks, I've been snitched on. Like I've
Really?
never snitched on. You're like, people see me do what I do, they're like, "Oh my God, keep doing it." No, niggas
What's
told me.
crazy to me is that your art is always like love. Let's bring love. Like that's the
I
whole message.
did not. I post something up. I don't think they like what I post. I posted something. I wrote it in Soho. I wrote, "Nobody in the Bible had a Bible,"
I saw that.
and I think that kind of tipped a couple of people off.
I agreed with 100% when I read it. And on that, Luce, I have a question for you from someone you may know. His name is Ali Coleman.
I
Ali
worked with him.
Coleman, I could hear him asking this question
Worked with him.
in his voice, but he wants to know how you really feel about dance circles.
Ooh, I got lots of stuff for that one. I'll explain to you.
He's not in trouble.
All right. Okay. So, and it will be known anyway. I'm not anti-circle. I just feel that this is going on. The circle is beautiful in certain venues. I appreciate it at Funkbox because that's the venue that gives you that.
Right.
I realized when old mixed with new, it kind of get confused, and especially when what happens is that the cipher, and I will explain to you, the cipher can be 2 things. The cipher or the circle can be the positive. It can be a positive area for people to bring their souls out and express their feelings by dance to a massive with room. But at the same time, it can be a platform to express a performance.
Right.
Now, what happens is that when performance is done like that, let's say the energy is everyone's trying to involve themselves in the dance. And sometimes when the cipher is there, it could be a break or it could be an event. So when it's an event, what happens is that the people who are already dancing with each other, feeling that they're equal with every other dancer, no matter if their skill set or not, they're still doing them. They're happy with the motion of, I'm at a party. Everybody's dancing. There's good dancers and there's fair dancers, and I'm just doing my thing. But what happens is that when the cipher happens, you see a class system that starts around the circle, which means the first tier of the circle are people who don't mind getting into the circle. These are people waiting for their chance to get back in, to jump in that circle, to get into that cipher, to go ahead and show them what I know, show them my moves, show them my skill set, which is cool, but that's the first ring of the circle. The second ring of the circle are the ones who are not willing to do that, and some of them are voyeurs that just want to see the action that was going on. And then the third end of the circle is people who just realizing you just stopped my party to have an event. I used to go to the garage, and when I used to, there was groups back in the day, and this was in the 80s, that people said, did you see when this person performed, see when that person performed? It's like, no, because I was into the dance. I didn't mind seeing who sung the song, but I was into that. I came to dance. And I didn't want, and I wasn't upset that I didn't see the show as much. Maybe I wanted to see the performance and see what they do and how they perform. But it was about me being able to go to a place that I could express my feelings and see other people express their feelings. And it's more like saying this. It's more like an orgy when everybody's dancing. It's a love-making thing when two people dance together. And it's masturbation when one person dances by themselves.
And that's when you have the vocal control, isn't it?
Yes, and you see some of those people who just can't wait to get out there and get their shit on. And I'm looking at them going like, son, come on. And then there's girls who say, well, I'm not trying to do that. I just want to express my feelings as a dancer to do it. But you see the boys like, get off the stage because I want to get back in that cypher. And it's like, son, don't you respect that women are trying to, and my sister Marjorie was a masterette of doing that and knowing, I know I'm one of the only girls out there, but guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do me. And I'm gonna smile on your face, and I'm gonna make you understand what love is.
And take my time.
And no one could take that away from her.
Take my time.
That's why she would be able to be the only girl with the boys, but she got her props and respect.
Yeah.
Hey, Unc, can you hear us? Because I have a question. I have a question for you before you get busy again. Because people, he's working on a installation somewhere in Brooklyn. But I have a question because I know that one of your your installations, or pieces that are all around the city, is Love Is. There it is. Love Is. Could you show us that again? Love Is. So for the people who know pieces around the city, love is, love is, love is, love is, love is. And sometimes there'll be rows and rows and people will fill in what love is. So I guess my final question for you, because is right at this very moment, as you say, in the present, love is what?
Love is everything. Love is everywhere. Love is you. Love is me. I mean,
I love you.
Fine with that answer.
Oh God, that was a
Fine
great
with that answer. And now, actually, I wanted everybody to answer that, including Cynthia and myself, because I've never asked Cynthia a question on here.
yes, what is love?
Luce, what is love?
Luce, what is love? Luce?
What love is what we all need, or we all should have, and it should be constantly there every day.
All right.
Cynthia?
I would say love is power. Love is understanding. You know, yeah, love is power.
Okay.
You know what the real answer to love is?
Love is
Yeah,
love.
I'm gonna give you the real answer to love, right? And you gotta process this. Love is the absence of resistance.
Well, you know what? Let me tell you what my answer was. My answer was love is having no fear. Because without, if you have fear, you're never gonna have the love. It's not possible, I don't think.
The absence. Fear is like resistance.
Love is fearless.
It's like holding yourself back. Love is being able to be fearless, being able to be, it's so much. Like we are all love. Love is the energy that we are. Love is a high vibration. Love is water. Love is life. Love is the trees. Love is air. Love is your breath. Here's a question to you about love, right? Here's a question for you guys, like, not for everybody. Like, based on today's whole day, compared to how many times that you guys looked at your phone, right, and checked your messages, and then count that to how many times you actually took a deep breath and actually thought about how blessed we are to even be able to take a breath of fresh air. How many times did you acknowledge that part compared to how many times you acknowledge your phone? Now that will tell you how much love you got for what.
I got to go. I got to go. I got to leave.
I did that this
No,
morning.
that's deep.
That's the first thing I did.
That's deep. I try to practice that every morning. I get up and I spend a moment to really reflect on being grateful to be awake, alive, for all the abundance that surrounds me. And, you know, it's something that I've changed really more recently in terms of my routine. And I can see how it has changed my life, you know, just living in that moment of gratitude and recognizing the abundance and spending time to acknowledge that. Because when you
But I was gonna ask you a question. Just
Yeah.
you say how much we do. We all do it. Like not all, but a lot of us do it in the morning. As far as like, cause I got this thing I do in the morning where I call Find My Breath. I used to have this thing called Find My Phone, so I can find out what time is it, how many people text me. But I changed it to Find My Breath, so I could just really take a deep breath and find my breath before I even do anything. I find my breath. But if you think about it, when you say like, okay, we do it in the morning, but like if you think about how dope life would be if you do that continuously throughout your day. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I say if you count how many times you pick up your phone and how many times you actually took a deep breath and count that blessing, we're way outnumbered on that process. So those things is things that allow us to stay in connection. It changes everything for you. It's like that is what starts bringing the dopeness into your life that you've been looking for. Just starting to spend time with yourself, spend time looking at yourself, spend time putting yourself up on the pedestal, spend time putting your energy where it needs to be, protecting it. Like all those little tiny things allow this type of energy, this type of wonder, this type of greatness that you've been searching for all your life to start showing itself to you in the form of yourself. So by you, the really thing is all these questions that people have been asking, they are the answers to all their questions. But the only way you figure that out is if you spend a little bit of time a day with yourself. And every time you spend time with yourself, you will find out a little bit of things about those little bit of things that comes to that really reflects to all those things you've been looking for all your life. It's all inside. And that's what love is too. It's inside.
Well, guys, thanks
And
so
on
much.
that note, I will say thank you so much to both of you for being here.
This whole thing went a whole different way than I imagined it, and I'm really glad about it. I am grateful for it all. And
Yeah, me too. I like that it was a little bit different than what we normally would have happen. I love when it's spontaneous and it becomes something else because there's so much that we all have to bring to it. So
I had one thing to tell you too. I was going to give you a story about the garage.
oh,
okay.
Oh yeah, tell the story while I paint. I'll be painting. I'm listening.
All right, you got it. You got it.
Who's listening?
Okay, here we go. Back in the '80s, what happened was my running buddy named Yui. He was and we both danced together, you know, in the clubs and whatever. And basically, he was dancing with this little white girl on the dance floor of the garage. And I was like looking at blonde hair. And I was like, oh, she's kind of cute, kind of hot. So I looked at, and I was like, I'm gonna let you go. You know, you dancing with, you know, you did get your flow on. That's cool. And later on, I said, where's the white girl at? He said, I don't know. She said she had to leave. I'm like, that's cool. Hour later, all of a sudden the show starts at the garage. Look on stage, and it's a little white girl. So she starts singing a song called Holiday.
Okay.
And her name was Madonna. So she's singing this song. Her backup singers are a black girl and a black guy. And it seems like they just rehearsed it 5 seconds before they went on stage. You can see them all, the person who, you know, who made the routine. You can see the girl trying to follow it, but it just looked sloppy. And in the garage, you know, one, if you can't dance, that's a boo. And if you can't sing strong like a big, you know, like a black woman who asked you to come from church, you're not good.
Right.
So they kind of booed her. Now, this happened to be one of the first nights of the new regime of the garage, where they opened the Friday night for people who wasn't gay.
Okay, for straight.
So this was an experimental week where they had, because the garage was open on a Friday night and a Saturday night. And Saturday night was core night. Both nights were supposed to be gay night, but what they did was they added a little bit that people who were straight could get on Friday night. So that was the experimental night. So what happened was they booed Madonna for singing her song. She finished the song. She went back off to do another song. But when she went back off and she got booed, she was too gutsy and say, oh, fuck it, I'm just going to go back. I mean, I sung my song, I made it through, and I'm not going to worry about it. What happened was Mike Brody, which was the owner of the garage, looked at Larry in the DJ booth like, wow, they booed this poor young girl off the stage.
Right.
Larry looked at Mike Brody like, dude, she wasn't all that good, dude. Kind of tough.
That bitch
Mike Brody took the mic and turned it on and said, excuse me, we are adults here. No one should be booed when they perform on our stage because it takes a lot of guts to do that. And if it ever happens again, there won't be a Friday night. And everybody was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then she came back on.
And got a standing
And
ovation.
they're like,
and now she's Madonna.
right. And now she's Madge going back into the underground because now she doesn't know how to shh.
oh, yeah. I got one more. For you. Want another one?
No, that's why you're here.
All right, here's another one. Back then in the day, there was at the garage, Frankie, Larry was the hottest thing since sliced bread. Frankie Crocker and BLS was trying to figure out what the fuck is it what is this? What is people asking for these new songs? We don't even know what these songs are named. Why are we're not playing them? What's this new music? And they're telling I want to hear, they're asking for requests on the garage, on BLS saying, yo, can you play Weekend? Can you play Ain't No Man High Enough? Can you play this song? Can you play that song? And BLS, programmers was going like, dude, where's this music coming from? We're playing the music. It's not on a radio station. Where's it coming from? It's coming from this one fucking club. So Frankie Crocker and BLS and all of them was trying to figure out, we got to figure out how to get this new sound. So we're gonna have to go ahead and do live from the garage. So what they did was they told Mike Brody told Larry, they really want to hear this new sound and they want to broadcast from the garage. Now the garage was a club that basically was gay community saying that this is our freedom, this is our club, this is what we're doing. The gay community, because the Saint was a very populated, at the time, the hot gay club. But the problem was they wasn't letting any black people in there or people of color in there. So when the garage got built, it was a way of saying this is going to be, because Mike Brody wanted to have the garage to really be like the Saint, which was a mostly, gay club,
Right.
but they needed to have soul to it. So when they asked Larry to play, and Larry played whatever, that brought a whole lot, and Larry had his own crowd, people of color was coming in. So you had Black and Latino and whatever you wanted to be there, and women coming in, lesbian women coming in. So that because that happened, that's why the garage can be popular. What happened was, Larry didn't like it that they weren't going to be commercialized because it was all underground, and he loved it underground. It was his world, his place. What happened was that Larry heard that Frankie Crocker was going to do live from the Paradise Garage. So Larry was like, motherfucker, fuck you, I gotta do it. So what happened was, I was in Long Island, and I had one of those, cassette recorders that, record on one side, but didn't record the other side, so you have to flip the tape over. So I got the longest minute tape I had, which was probably 60 minutes on one side, and 60 minutes on the other side, or 30 minutes on, and I put it in, and I started to record it, and I wanted to record it to get, live from the garage on BLS before I jetted out into the city to go ahead and go to the garage to hear the club. all of a sudden Larry decided, okay, live from BLS, it's Larry Levan at the Paradise Garage. Now Larry decided to play a song. The first song he played was a song that he knew that people in the garage loved it, but the FCC could not handle it.
Push in the bush.
No, not
Oh.
even that. Not even that. It was a song called Mary Ann Faithful.
Ah.
And Mary Ann Faithful was this avant-garde kind of art kind of music of this white girl talking about it started up and she starts singing about stuff and it starts to be sucking my cock
Right, suck my
in my
cock.
ass and and all of a sudden BLS went from
It's like
from playing it live to you hear the call of WBLS, and they went straight to a recorded version of what the garage would have been like. And Larry's probably saying, "Fuck you! You want to come to my world? You're gonna hear the music I play, and you ain't gonna do shit about it." So Larry said, "Fuck it" to Frankie Crocker and BLS the first time he did it.
Isn't that why'd you do what you did?
Yes. No, what you did, that's it. That's
Yeah.
that song. So that's what she did. She and you know it gets raunchier. So
yes,
you know that's what.
Well,
That's
well.
fantastic.
Thank you so much for that.
Oh, no problem. I had to give a bedtime story, at least two.
Yes.
You know.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you,
I
and
appreciate-
thank you,
I appreciate
that.
also.
I really,
Yes.
I want to thank you very much for doing something. I appreciate you for actually having this venue, giving people who don't get the opportunity to be able to do that. Myself, I don't care about myself that much, but I'm glad that you're putting this out because in this time right now, we have to get creative and try to figure it out. And you both have been the most well-known female components that I've known right now at this time. And I really appreciate it. And even in the time when you can't do what you normally would do, you're thinking outside of the box and you're bringing out gems of people's stories and experiences and life and letting the people know who they are on a personal level. So I appreciate you for doing that venue. I appreciate you for UncuttArt being able to be there. I know you're paying to make shit going on. I appreciate it. Make that art, baby. Make that art. You know, it's what we need. And I should say thank you very much. I have blessings to you guys.
Thank you, Luce. Thank you for, hanging out with us for this last little while and sharing some of yourself and dropping some, like I said, I have to go lay down now between you and UncuttArt. Figure out what I've been doing with myself all this
Watch out for them circles. Watch out for them circles. You might be standing on the outside going like, wait a minute. I was dancing now. But it's all good. I don't hate the young ones. They need to do that because they come with the territory. Hip hop come with house. They just happen to be like that.
There you go, Luce. And what am I saying since we've been in this pandemic is, and watch out for dummies because they're everywhere.
They're everywhere. They're conscious. They not there conscious.
And
Well, I call them. I think I was calling them the smart dummies and the dumb smarties. There's a whole bunch of them around.
But they're all.
There's a whole bunch of dumb smarties around and a whole bunch of smart dummies, and you can hear them as soon as they open their mouth. You can hear the smart dumb shit coming out. I'm like, oh man, here we go again. Here we go again.
Well, I can guarantee you, probably none of them are in the present. So.
They're not. So find your tribe. Find your tribe. Don't be hanging out with those other tribes.
Yes, it's time to find your
own
tribe. It's definitely, I'm glad you said that too, man. Like, if you do anything right now with your life, it's to find your tribe, yo. Like literally, this is the time. And just know that. That's all I gotta say for that.
I hear you.
Well, thank you guys.
On that note,
Right, guys, I am Red.
and I'm Rose, and thank you for being
Bedtime
here.
Story.
And I am Blue.
Literally.
And my boy over there is Red. So we already got a
Rose
red.
red.
We already got a red. He's green like the earth.
He's green.
Yeah.
I'm yellow.
Green like the earth. And I'm blue like
Yellow.
I'm blue like love.
And I'm yellow like the sun.
There you go.
Yes, sunshine.
Thanks,
You are
guys.
yellow.
Well,
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for
we're
being
gonna
here.
sign off. Oh, and wait a minute, really quickly, guys, what do you have coming up? Uncut, what do you have coming up, or anything that we should know about? I know you've been doing some meditation and stuff, whatever.
Yeah, not for nothing. Please go to my website, protectyourheart.com. I hope to be putting things on there. Check my Instagram, UncuttArt, and Protect Your Heart. I really have a ton of stuff coming up. I'm doing this 1 million scarf initiative, which is how I raise funds for the things that we do, the programs that we do with the kids. And the 1 million scarf project is simple. You're like, we want to make sure that everybody on this earth has a scarf. So whoever you are, whatever you do, help promote these scarves. They're real dope, silks, not silk, but they're polyester cotton. They really soft to your skin and they're breathable. So I want everybody to get a scarf and help support the growth of what we do. And like I said, nobody support what I do but you guys. And I don't ask for nobody to donate. I ask everybody to exchange. I give you something dope and you give me your money. And then boom, boom, bam.
I like it.
Luce, you got any things we should know about?
Yeah, I've been with a group for quite some time during the pandemic that we're giving money to artists, no matter if it's recording artists or people in the house scene or whatever. It's called the Club Culture. I forgot the rest
Foundation.
of the foundation. Very good. And we've been giving love to that, and still doing another project with that, and trying to branch out and more and give out more to the community. And then the other thing is, I'm doing on Friday, I'm doing an interview with Sick. And me and him are doing a live interview, and we're going to talk about everything from the club world to women in the club scene and how respected and how that is happening with that in relationships in the club world, especially in the house community of all that kind of situation. So I'm going to get real deep.
And where will we find that?
And that'll be on Friday morning at 10 a.m. At 10 a.m.
Where?
You gotta go on Seku's thing, but I forgot what it's called or whatever. I'm just a vessel. I don't even know where I'm driving. I'm just going. Okay, so.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Thank you.
All right, ladies.
All right, everybody, get back to what you do. Stay in the present because that was really good, or try your best.
Yes.
Take some time, spread some love.
Who's next week?
Here
Remember,
you go.
love
This is for you
don't
guys.
confuse us, Luce. Don't confuse us right now.
Right.
Here you go. This is for you. This is for you.
Don't go in the future. Stay in the present.
Yes. Do you see this? I love you. Do you see this?
Your energy. We love you
Nice.
too.
Well, that's nice. I like that. You
Hello.
do good work, my brother. You do good work.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And on that note, when love is, we're going to sign off.
It is.
Thank you.
Bedtime story.
And good night.
Good night. Good night.
Nice.
Oh, shit. My night just started.